Hello, and welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. My name is Maybe Dennis, and last time we started the episode with Senaoe going to a park full of people just muttering to themselves, saying, "Whose eyes are those?" And she attacked this one otaku-looking dude and sliced his mechanical backpack because his backpack was a device made by Nozomi to control people, I think. So that was kind of weird. But after that, we just kind of went to school with Takumi, where he kind of essentially got used to going to school with Rimi there. And he also talked to Fez. A lot of people were gushing about that. And afterwards, we got to the perspective of Yasuji Ban, who went to a place that we saw in Chaos Child before. Well, I saw it before. That's in the future. But aside from that, we saw him talk to this other person and talk about the GE rate and how there are a lot of conspiracies and politicians involved with this. So people are actually dying because of this. And afterwards, lastly, we went to the perspective of Takumi, where he found out that Ayase actually used to be in a mental ward for kids or something, or a psychiatric hospital, and because she apparently had some mental problems as a kid. And not only that, he got a telephone call from someone, and it's the same goddamn number of that one phone call that played Torianse or something, and he whited it out right before this one scene where Yua now gets a call. So I mean, dying to know what's gonna happen to Yua because she's also getting a call right now. So, let's hop into it. When Yua Kusunoki opened her eyes, she could see that all hell had broken loose in Class 3B, her class. Several of the students were lying on the ground, their eyes had rolled back into their heads, they were foaming at the mouth, spasming and jerking. What the heck? What? So this is really affecting the quote-unquote real world now. Several of the others were curled up into little balls, clutching their heads in pain. The rest were standing up after another and leaving the room, even though it was in the middle of class. The teacher was too busy helping the ones who were having seizures to stop them. The students in the hallway were all yelling in shock, but Yua didn't hear what they were saying. Her phone had been going off inside her skirt pocket. She had finally realized it was buzzing and slowly reached a hand towards it. Wait, I can't believe there's a mass hysteria in the school. I wonder if it's not just a school, but maybe the entirety of Shibuya, Japan, or maybe in the world. Oh god. She tried to stand up, but she staggered and fell from her chair. She crouched and leaned up against the wall. After her putting her glasses back against her face, she pressed the answer button and put the phone to her ear. Torianse?
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
no, it's not. Oh, look at her ah!
Oh.
So she's actually speaking with someone, okay.
はい。一応大丈夫です。
Oh, she's probably getting a call from maybe worried parents because the world's going crazy or something. She winced after she said that, then put a hand to her forehead. She could hear the voices of her classmates talking noisily outside, and her teacher shouting at the fallen students to wake up, but all of this just seemed to be happening very far away.
はい。あなたは。
Oh, it's not the parents.
はい。はい。そうですか。それで。
Her face suddenly turned pale as she gulped. She covered the phone with her hand and dropped her voice low. It was clear from her tone that whatever she had heard had rattled her.
そんなわけないんです。
It's impossible.
だって。
Oh, is she getting a call from Shogun? And then she's gonna say wait, that's supposed to be Takumi?
本当。
She stopped and let her hood droop. Droop?
本当は。私。だったのに。
It was actually me? The noise outside grew louder. Everyone was looking at the same direction, pointing fingers with fearful expressions on their faces. Whose eyes are those? The windows in the hallways were rattling like they'd been hit by a gust of wind.
はい。そうです。
So she's crying now.
私の妹です。
Her younger sister.
はい。わかりました。
Did she actually have a twin then? Because she did have what was it? She did have the picture of herself on her desk, but it's really weird to have that I feel like you would have it as someone else. She bowed weakly as if the person that she was talking to was right in front of her and hung up the phone. She then looked up and towards the direction everyone was pointing. Is it red? Nope. It's kind of normal, actually. Kind of foggy, though. It was like someone had poured, whoa, white paint on a pool of water's surface. Oh, God, no, never mind. It's super white now. The muddled blue of the sky was turning white. It was spreading at incredible speed. It was devouring the sky. There's some weird noises. Oh, God, that's going to be the end of the chapter, isn't it? Noah. I stopped the episode 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes before the chapter ended. Oh, man. Yasuji Ban was finally released from the long task force meeting and should have felt much better. But today, things were different. He walked away from the other detectives and towards the windowsill, where he called his junior partner. Beep, 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 beep. Suwa hadn't shown up for the meeting today. Ban had wanted to skip it too, so it didn't seem fair that Suwa got to. Hey, you bitch, I came over here. You better come get your ass over here too. Suwa might not look like it, but he took his work extremely seriously. At least that's what Ban had thought. So he was surprised when Suwa skipped today. He tried to get a hold of him several times, and there had been no answer. Ever since Ban had talked to Momose 2 days ago, he had a bad feeling that wouldn't go away. His detective's intuition. And things had gotten even worse today. Not only was Suwa missing, when he brought up the GE rate during the meeting, Matsunaga had told him that he was being ridiculous and needed to stop wasting everyone's time. Please, don't let anything else happen. Ban sighed a little as he fanned his face. He heard the call being picked up, and Suwa answered. The connection was really bad. Ban wondered if Suwa had gone off somewhere deep in the countryside. Sorry, asked now, my own... Ban yelled. He stopped being able to hear Suwa at all, and instead there was a small period of nothing but static. I wonder if it's more decipherable in Japanese. Oh, that's better. Suwa shouldn't have been going off on his own. But Ban had a nasty habit of doing just that. He chuckled. Maybe his bad habits had also rubbed off on his junior partner. Almost got it. He's gonna die. He's gonna die before Ban finds out. See, I got the lead. It's the real killer. Ban's eyes went wide. So I would like to present the 6th Nugent murder. Oh man, that's kind of dark, but you know, that might be where this is going. Goodbye, Suwa. Whoa! An earthquake happened right after that. Suddenly, the ground started to shake. The shaking got more and more violent. Ban couldn't even stay standing. He dropped to a crouch to keep from falling over. At first, the other detectives seemed unconcerned, but they soon realized the seriousness of the situation and began to crouch or hide under tables. The clock on the wall, the pens and paper cups on the table, the projector device, one after another, they fell to the floor with a crash. The 2 whiteboards in the conference room fell too. It was like a passenger jet had just ran into the stream of turbulence. That's how it felt to Ban, like his legs weren't even touching the ground. The shaking was spinning his body left to right. It was probably a 5 or a 6 in intensity. Is this the next big one? And now of all times? Oh, the red. Bon then felt a strong shock, like somebody had punched him in his head. He moaned in pain. No one had physically punched him. It was just an incredible headache. Suddenly, a scream filled the conference room. Bon gritted his teeth and looked up, and saw one of the local detectives had his hands pressed up against his head, trembling with pain. Then he fell helplessly to the ground, like a doll dropped by a child. Oh my god, what is happening to the world in like... All of it just happened this episode. Most of the other detectives were either wincing in pain, their hands against their temples, or holding their heads. What was this headache? He never felt anything like it before. Did it have something to do with the earthquake? Bon had no way of knowing. Little by little, the shaking stopped. Bon looked outside, vision blurry. There was a white light everywhere. It was so bright, Bon couldn't keep his eyes open. Okay? Oh, back to Takumi. I can recognize that voice. Oh no! 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 His setup is destroyed. His Seraton figure is probably wrecked. No! I opened my eyes, feeling a pain so strong I thought my head would burst. I realized I'd fallen backwards into the middle of the room. I tried to get up, but when I did, the pain in my head spread throughout the rest of my body. I moaned in agony. Oh my god, so that's his bedside. After 5 minutes or so of writhing on the floor, the pain gradually subsided. I managed to use the bedpost as a support to climb back up. I wiped away the thick sweat on my brow. I don't know, man, that bedpost is not good support right now. The room looked like it had been hit by a tornado or an earthquake, because it was. All of my wives had either toppled over or fallen off their shelf entirely. The bed was now tilted, and my manga and H-game boxes had fallen off of it, scattered on the floor. What had just happened? I picked up the phone and then heard Torianse, and then it had turned into what sounded like an ambulance siren. That's right. There had been that buzzer sound, and then the low sound of the earth rumbling, and then it felt like my whole body had boiled and melted. Oh right, there was shaking in the recording too, now I think about it. I didn't remember anything that happened after that. My mind was a total blank. Was this some kind of electromagnetic wave attack by Shogun? Maybe Shogun could do the same thing that system I'd read about in the patent. That idea terrified me. I looked up at the ceiling, still reeling from my headache. Of course, there was nothing to see. If my mind was being read, it was being read by a satellite high above me. The eyes. Whose eyes are those? It's the satellite's eyes. But from what Senna had said before, it sounded like the system in the patent was already in use, and some people were using it for evil. If one of those people was Shogun. No, that was impossible. There was no way that could be true. That frail old man could look like he could die at any moment. There's no way he could have his own orbital satellite, or was he at the center of some big government project? There was no point in starting a delusion and scarring myself to death with it. It was clear something had happened, so I decided to look online to find out what. I crawled towards the computer, trying my best to ignore the pain in my head. Computer's gonna be trashed. What? His computer's completely fine? And Seraton's just like, hey! I'm sure I left my computer on. It should have been displaying that Seraton screensaver, but instead the screen was black. I hadn't set it to go into standby mode automatically, so that shouldn't happen, but my mind was still foggy. My whole body felt frail and weak. It took all my strength just to stand up. I gritted my teeth to help with the pain and tried to move my mouse. Nothing. Maybe something unplugged because there was a goddamn earthquake? Next, I tried the power button. Nothing. Calling it. What? Oh. How did his computer remain practically untouched? His bottles next to his computer are still fine. Meanwhile, his entire bedpost got knocked over. What? The hard disk started to whir and click. I slumped into my computer chair with a thud. While I waited for my computer to boot up, I reached out a desperate hand for my phone, which was still lying on the table. I looked at the time.
13時
1 p.m.? What time was it before? What time had it been when I got that call? I remember I was looking at the information on ISA on Atchan. Maybe you can check your phone? I tried to think and the pain just got worse. What time? Remember. That's right, it wasn't even noon yet. Which meant...
1時間以上も気絶してた
or had been sleepwalking and off wandering somewhere for the past hour.
僕は無遊病じゃない
Hell, you couldn't even walk in this room. I shook my head before my brain could fill itself with more negative thoughts. When I did, the aching in my head made me feel like I would pass out. It was like my brain had been replaced by a lump of lead. I looked over at the PC monitor. Oh no!
マジで
It's the red screen of death! Oh no! Could it be? My hard disk was damaged?
嘘だそんなのありえないあっちゃダメだそんなことになったら全てが終わる
No! My gigabyte of saved XXX Moe porn! My save data for my H games! My bookmarks for my daily browsing! My schedule that told me when to go to school! And more than anything, the most important thing in the world to me. My ESO save data! Was it all gone? I want to scream in rage. I want to pound my fist into the keyboard. I want to kick into the walls. And more than anything, I want to see if I could be recovered right this very instant. But my whole body was still heavy and slow. My head still ached. All I could do was lie back in my chair and bite my lip. It was over. My life was over. The loss of my ESO save data meant my life no longer had any meaning. Nothing mattered anymore. My life was nothing but ash and dust. Somebody just kill me. Wait, I thought at this point in time, like, the save data was saved in this, like, the company server instead of your own computer. Why is it, like, on your computer? It's a multiplayer game, is it not? You have guilds and whatnot too. It should be saved on the server, not your hard drive. Delusion time. I forgot. It's been so long. Did she have lip flaps before, or is this the first time? Sarah looked up from where she was lying sideways on my desk and gave me an angelic smile.
円数みたいなオンラインのゲームってセーブデータは全部サーバーに保存されてるんじゃない
Yeah, you dumb. Server? Does she mean the game company server?
だからたとえタッキーの PC が壊れてもナイトハルトッチのデータは消えてないはずっしょ
Oh, wait. This is gonna be relevant somehow. He's gonna have, like, a backup of his life. And then, like, I have no idea. It's gonna be relevant somehow. They wouldn't have this happen if it wasn't relevant. Right. This was something every gamer knew, but I was so out of it that I'd forgotten. I felt like I found one small sliver of hope amidst the despair. Way to go, my wife. I hadn't made any backups of my pics or MP3, so I have to give up on those. It wasn't ideal, but I didn't have a choice. I still want to start reformatting my computer as soon as possible. I needed to see if my ESO's data was safe with my own eyes. Of course, for that, I needed this headache to go away. The pain didn't feel like it was going away anytime soon. Alright, what do we see now? Oh, Shibuya, cool. I think Shibuya, yep, Shibuya. Shibuya earthquake, magnitude at least 5, at least 200 casualties. Oh, that's pretty bad. The big television outside of Shibuya Station usually played commercials or promos for famous music artists. Today, however, they were showing a stern-looking newscaster. It was a TV show with the following text written on the top of the screen. Intensity 5 earthquake hit Shibuya, at least 200 casualties. Earthquakes were nothing special in... Wait, actually... That's not what it said on the top. I can see it right now. It's not the same. Come on. Earthquakes were nothing special in Japan. There have been several earthquakes around a 5 on the scale even in Tokyo, around Tokyo. But as more information started to come in, it became apparent that the number of casualties was abnormally high because everyone was crazy for some strange reason. There was a similar earthquake in 2005, and not a single person died. Compared to that, this was almost unbelievable. Okay, and there's a lot of people in this post. Oh my god. I wonder if any one of them looks special looking. We see some Seiron students. Yeah, I don't think I see anyone special here. Alright, cool. There are a lot of characters. I can't believe they drew every single one of them. This was even more true when you consider that it had happened in Shibuya, the center of the New Gen murders. There had been an earthquake around 3 months ago in Shibuya too. That one had only been a 3 on the scale, but 8 people had died. Was Shibuya cursed? Many of the people who saw the first reports of the quake thought that, even if they didn't say it. But either way, the first special broadcasts about the earthquakes were ready to go almost as soon as it started. Right now, there wasn't a lot of solid information or clear numbers, but the female newscaster was reading out a script. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency had confirmed at least 31 deaths and is expecting that number to grow even higher. The cause of deaths is currently unknown. There's also reports of a mysterious white light in Shibuya after the earthquake, a shockwave, and a sky turning white. The camera at the Shibuya Scramble crossing had seen the light, and the big TVs were showing the footage that they'd taken where everything had turned white just after the quake. The white had appeared just as the earthquake did, and at first it was less than a white and more of an incredibly intense light. The light covered Shibuya in an instant, and was so bright that nobody could keep their eyes open. Anyone from the generation that lived through the last war would have immediately thought it was a nuclear weapon. In fact, there were those who had seen a white mushroom cloud rising hundreds of meters in the sky above Shibuya, but had almost dissipated instantly. What the light was, what caused it, and what it had to do with the earthquake were, for the moment, total mysteries. The strangest thing was that the white sky had gone back to normal within an hour, and once more, a murky blue color laid above the heads of the people of Shibuya. It's also, notable that Takumi saw the light, and he was indoors! Unless the light pierced through the building, I don't know. There was a tiny crack, just a few millimeters, in the asphalt around Dogenzaka Hill. There were also many cracks in the walls at some of the mixed-use buildings around Center Street. I wonder what those cracks mean. They brought it up specifically. Oh, okay. He got his things settled back. Okay. You could have used this opportunity to maybe make a bed for yourself so that you can sleep in it. Maybe move some of the boxes. Ah, man. But at least it looks like nothing was broken, as PC seems to have, started up properly. My headache hadn't gone away. It took around 2 hours to reformat the hard drive. I'd almost passed out several times from the pain. I'd gone to sleep in the middle of something before, but this was my first time really passing out from something. Still, the pain was a lot better than it was 2 hours ago. I drank some soda to quench my thirst and steeled myself to get to work. I put the bed back where it was, giving myself a place to stand on the floor. It was hard considering how weak I was, but if I didn't clean up, I wouldn't even be able to leave the place. If I was trapped inside, unable to escape during Shogun's next attack, not that I knew for sure if the earthquake was his doing, I'd be doomed. I needed a way to get out. When my OS was finally back, I headed over to my computer and installed ESO. I tried logging into the base lard. Yes! Nightheart Paladin, level 50, is still alive.
ナイトハルトは消えてない。装備とかも全部無事だ。よかった。よかった。
I was so excited that I tried to stand up and raise my fist in the air, but I was too exhausted. Still, I was so happy to see that such an important part of me hadn't disappeared after all. Now then. With that done, it was time to see what had actually happened. Personally, I wanted an apology and compensation from whoever was responsible. It felt like an earthquake, but there were so many things that didn't make sense. I looked to see if Grim was playing, but he wasn't. I went to our usual chat room, though it was harder with my bookmarks gone, and he wasn't there either. What good was he if he wasn't here when I needed him? I ended up checking the top page of Taboo instead. It's a new gen! Oh my god. Let's see. More than 200 dead in Shibuya. More than 300 injured in Shibuya. Intensity 5 quake in the Kanto region. Dead baby found inside man's stomach. Oh, okay, baby put in man's stomach before death. Open when he was... Okay, the bottom parts are just about the second murder. I see. I wonder why they're popping up now. That's kind of weird. Let's see. The article read Shibuya, 200 dead. There had been an earthquake from the look of it. It was a 5 on the scale. There were an awful lot of casualties, though. Supposedly, the number was likely to go even higher than 200. There was other stuff, too, about how the skies above Shibuya had temporarily turned white, or a big mushroom cloud above the city, but nobody seemed sure about what they had to do with the earthquake. And Achan was still talking about it, too. Most of the comments were like, Shibuya again? Or, Shibuya screwed. There were videos uploaded, too, and I could see what the cameras in the Scramble Crossing had recorded.
これ、地震だけじゃないよね。
I had felt an incredible headache when the quake hit. No, it was way worse than just a headache. It felt like my brain was boiling over. And even 2 hours later, there was still an aching pain. I still felt exhausted.
電子レンジに閉じ込められたら、あんな風になるかもしれない。
It was Nanami's curse. She was like, I hope the electromagnetic waves zap your brain. If that was the case, then maybe my ideas about this being some kind of electromagnetic wave attack from Shogun weren't just delusions. Hey, that's Grim, or maybe Shogun, I don't know. Then I heard the noise I recognized from my PC. It was a sound of somebody joining the chat room. I bet it's Grim. It might have been Grim. I turned my eyes towards the chat window to ask him the details. No, Shogun! Shogun entered the room. Current members, too. Ah! A scream slipped from my lips. It's him. Why would he show up now? Had he been reading my thoughts after all? My hands were shaking on my mouth. I'm just imagining Shogun's next line is like, yes, I am reading her. Never mind. Ah! The rest of my body had frozen with fear. Even the pain in my head was gone. I didn't even want to look at the word Shogun, but I couldn't take my eyes off the monitor. I wanted to leave the chat room, but it was like my mind had left my body. I couldn't even move the mouse. I felt the prickling on my neck. I was being watched again. It was the gaze of God. Or maybe it wasn't God, but Shogun, looking at me from the satellite orbit? I want to run away. But where? He couldn't find me. He could find me anywhere in Japan. Hey, it's been a while. Was that the first thing he'd said? Oh, wait, what? Yeah, that was the first thing he said. Was he talking like he was greeting an old friend? Oh, he was talking, whoops. But I never remembered being his friend. I bit my lip and stared at the characters on screen. But after he spoke, I found myself able to move again. I grabbed my phone. It was just past 3 p.m. She still might be in class, but Rimi might be able to help me, believing that was my only choice. I called Rimi's number. It was easy to find because it was one of the only few contacts in my phone.
助けて、リミ。
Do you hate me?
リミ、早く。出て。
It hurt to breathe. I couldn't think. Rimi wasn't picking up. The phone kept ringing and ringing. Why? Don't you always show up when I'm in trouble? Why aren't you here now? I'm sending you a present. A present? You're sending me another one of those pictures? And this time you're gonna make me out to be the new gen killer, aren't you? No, I'm not the killer! It felt like a fish that had flopped onto land. I wasn't getting enough oxygen. My head felt like it was full of fuzz. My only hope was Rimi. I gripped the phone tighter, praying and focusing on every sound that came out of the receiver. It picked up! The number you've been dialing is not in service. The person you're calling is not available. I hope you like it. Voicemail? Oh no. I hung up the phone, disappointed. I wrapped my arms around myself to keep myself steady. My body had started to shake. I was more afraid of Shogun than I thought I was. Of course I was! He was pretending to be disabled, but he was actually a murderer who killed people 5 times. And I was his next target.
助けてよ。
Until now, Rimi would always appear just at the right time, but she hadn't picked up the phone. My eyes fell on the fake D-sword in the corner of the room. I picked it up, clinging to the small hope that it might somehow help. It was just a toy. Ase had said so, and she'd been sure. But maybe she was wrong. At least I wanted to hope so. If I had a D-sword, I'd be saved. I could just defeat Shogun's attack. So please. I raised the D-sword. I focused on the cutting edge of the blade. Please, be real. Save me.
ディソード。真の姿を現せ。
I closed my eyes tight and gripped the pommel hard. Silence. I opened my eyes a little. Nothing had changed. It was just a toy.
くそーくそくそくそーこの役立たせ。
I slammed the toy sword into the ground and began to pace around the room. I bit my nails trying to figure out what to do. But the fear threatened to crush me, and I couldn't think. Whenever I tried, the pain in my head would come back. There was nothing left to do but to go back to the PC. Oh man, he just left. Oh man, he said, I'm sending you a present. I thought he was gonna provide a link, but no. Oh, it's common. Shogun had already left the chat. The only traces of him were the 4 lines he'd left. I didn't even want to see the words he'd written, so I quickly left the chat room myself. I was still shaking. Shogun was taunting me. What's so fun about stalking me like this? Does this mean that I'd been chosen as the next victim, and that Shogun was finally ready to put his plan into action? Or that I was the perfect patsy to the fall for his murders?
誰か助けて。助けてよ。
I looked to the post-awakening Seraton, pleading for her to save me.
一人は怖いんだ。
I didn't want to be alone. I want somebody to be by my side. I wanted somebody to protect me.
そうだ。学校だ。学校へ行けば。
Rimi was there. I couldn't handle being alone and scared anymore. I stripped off the sweatshirt I'd always wore when I was at home. I quickly changed into my uniform and then left the base. Uh-oh. Okay, I thought he was going to open and there was going to be a gift right at the entrance. I don't know how much going to school would help now, because school just ended, I think. The cold wind outside made my headache feel a little better. Shibuya seemed more tense than usual. Maybe it was the earthquake. I could hear the sounds of sirens in the distance. When one stopped, another started. I couldn't tell if they were fire trucks or ambulances. Probably both. Yamate Street, just one street over from where I was walking, was a standstill. Several cars had been in head-on collisions and abandoned where they sat. There was no signs of the drivers. The abandoned cars were blocking the road and causing a traffic jam. The other drivers were fiercely banging on their horns. As I slowly and unsteadily walked towards school, a dog ran past me, howling. It was a chihuahua with the bloodshot eyes. Its tiny body was running at full speed, dragging the leash behind it. Drool was pouring from its open mouth. Had it got separated from its owner? As I watched distractedly, I stumbled over something and almost fell. There's a crack in the ground. That's why I tripped on. Oh, right, the cracks are from the earthquake. Whoops. Did the earthquake cause it? I stopped and looked up at the sky. There are several clouds now, lazily traveling through the muddy blue sky. Supposedly, the sky had gone white like an aurora right after the quake, but there was no trace left of that now. This wasn't the Shibuya I knew. I felt really tense and uneasy. It wasn't just the earthquake. It wasn't just the headache. It wasn't just those things. It felt like a terrible urge was going to overcome me at any second. Just walking down the street, for some reason, made me want to kill someone. Oh no. Is this the GE, right? The gravity. You know, earthquakes, are caused by plates, rubbing against each other. Maybe the gravitational pull or error caused that. By the time I reached school, the terror and fear within me had grown even stronger. I felt so cold that my body wouldn't stop shaking. My headache had come back. I could see a crowd near the third-year student building. I looked for Rimi there. Rimi! Where are you? Strangely, they were all looking up at the school building.
Oh, Taku!
Oh, Misumi's here. Misumi ran up to me. Good, I can ask him where Rimi was. Get out of my way, just tell me. Oh no, something serious happened. I mean, I know there was an earthquake, and like, the mass hysteria, and like, the sky turning white, but something else happened. He looked pale, and his expression was deadly serious. It was rare to see Misumi so badly shaken. What happened? It's bad. It's real bad. Bad? What was bad?
病気だったんだろ精神病のことがバレて余計におかしくなっちゃったらしいぜさっき飛べるとか言ってたぜやべえよやばすぎる
Oh man, they're laughing at someone's insanity.
俺人が死ぬとこマジで見てんだけど
What is wrong with you? I love dead bodies.
きっとグロすぎて最高だぜ
Oh man, man, what is wrong with you? Why?
早く落ちてこねえかな
Oh, someone. Oh, Ayase's probably up there. Is she gonna jump? I can hear voices around me saying those things. Could it be? A terrible thought ran through my mind. I looked up slowly to where the rest of the students were looking. It's gonna pan up, isn't it? On the edge of the roof. Oh no. What are you doing? What are you doing? Was a girl. She was holding the D-sword, just like she had in her concert. She was standing there like she was offering a prayer to God in heaven. It was Ayase Kishimoto. Okay, so it's not. Oh, whoa! The sky is red now. Is that the poem that she was saying before? She's also crying now. Oh no. Ayase Kishimoto was feeling the wind on her body. It was cold, with just the slightest hint of winter. Her expression was pained, and beads of sweat were dripping down her cheeks. Suimei, oh, I say Seiren before, or Seiren, whoops. Suimei Academy's roof was surrounded by an almost 2-meter high fence. She was standing in the narrow, 30-centimeter space on the outside of it. She had been here for almost 10 minutes. One more step, and she'd fall off the roof of a 4-story building. Below her was a crowd of students watching with bated breath. They called for the police and an ambulance, but perhaps because of the earthquake a few hours ago, no one had arrived yet. Teachers were running around trying to get mats ready for if the worst had happened. But Ayase stood tall and still, like the chaos below had nothing to do with her. If anything, it looked like she was deliberately cutting herself off from the world below. Her head was tilted up at the sky, and her eyes were closed. She looked almost like a young priestess praying to her god. Her body was completely motionless in the slight wind of the roof. An impressive feat of balance considering the sword that she was carrying was almost her own height. The wicked one within the heart. The sword, her D-sword, was flashing with a pale light, like it was having trouble breathing. Ase's own breath seemed to be in sync with the light, and her own breathing was pained. She let out a small, soft whisper. The words she whispered were quickly drowned out by the wind. Ayase opened her eyes, turning towards the amber red sky above the Shibuya high-rises.
この世界は悪意の妄想に満ち溢れている。みんな他人の不幸が大好き。
I mean, not everyone enjoys that, but clearly there are some people, especially the people who are like, oh man, it'd be really cool.
目を閉じても耳を塞いでもダメ。昔からずっと私のそばを離れてくれないわ。
As she whispered, she brought the huge sword to her chest. She embraced it with both arms. Strangely, the sharp-looking blade didn't pierce her skin at all.
帰りたかった。大いなる意志が住むもう一つの世界に。
The great will to the other world.
そのために心を切り刻んで全部受け入れたわ。混沌の器としての夢を。
Ayase's expressions twisted with sadness. Tears silently fell from her eyes. The wind blew them off her face and into the sky.
だけどグラジオールの帯同が活発化している。
I remember seeing Gladiel before, but I forgot what that was from.
もう時間がないのに見つからない。見つからないのよ。天国の扉も賢者も導き手も七つの神罰も。
Door to Heaven, Sage, Guide, and the 7 Divine Punishments.
黒騎士の伝説、本当なの？
The Legend of the Black Knights. I don't know what this is.
歌はもうたくさん歌ったわ。それで足りないって言うならね。大いなる意志よ。
Ayase slowly spread out her arms, as if she was trying to embrace the sky, as if showing herself to some god high in his heaven.
私は飛ぶわ。
Oh no. The sword's pale pulsation grew in intensity. Ayase closed her eyes again. A final tear fell from the corner of her eye. Oh no, what is she... Oh no.
この器は差し出すから。
No.
魂を連れて行って。
Oh my god, I can't believe she's doing this. And the girl stepped forward without the slightest hesitation. There was nothing left there to support her body.
帰るべき場所へ。
Oh my god. She felt the cold wind gently blow her against her cheek. She looked down beneath her. What's that? What? I didn't see what was written on that. Did I say Heaven's Door? And saw a floating door rising towards her. Beyond it was the sky she sought. All I could do was watch, helplessly. So, in her perspective, the sky was red. Right now it's around 3 or 4 p.m. and that, unless it's like winter, I mean, I guess it's kind of close. It should not be like that. So that was all in her delusion. And she saw a door appear as she jumped off. Ayase spread out her hands and slowly stepped off the roof, like there was an invisible staircase there. Screams and loud murmurs rose from the crowd of gawkers. No longer supported by anything, she fell, like a puppet with its strings cut. Everything was happening in slow motion. Ayase's body fell. It fell so slowly, but there was no stopping it. She was going to die. Ayase was going to die. There's no way I could help her. If she fell from that height, she'd die for sure. The ground below her was solid concrete. Her bones would shatter, her organs would be smashed, her brains and dark red blood would be splashed all over the place. If there was at least a flower bed there. If there was soft earth instead of concrete, then maybe she'd survive. I didn't want to see anyone die. I tried to close my eyes. And then I felt it. The prickling at the back of my neck. I turned. Nobody was looking at me. Everyone was looking up towards Ayase or down at the ground. Whose eyes were those? I heard a noise. The sound of someone hitting the ground. I'd never heard the sound before. It was less loud than I thought it would be. Misumi was standing next to me, watching in shock. He was looking to where Ayase had fallen, but instead of showing fear or sorrow, his expression was one of a surprise. What? Oh. Oh, did he awaken his ability? Is there going to be a flower bed there? Or like soft earth? Is she... Because like, Takumi was really like thinking like, if only there was that, if only there was that. Maybe he deluded himself into believing that and it came into reality. Because if he was looking at Ayase with surprise instead of like fear or sorrow, that would be the major explanation. Unless she just, landed on her feet. It wasn't just Misumi either. The whole crowd of gawking onlookers had fallen silent, like they weren't sure what had just happened. Huh? Alive? Oh. He's beginning to believe. Oh. So you brought this into reality. That's... Okay, this is getting interesting. Ayase was lying on the ground. Had her bones been shattered? I couldn't tell. Had her organs been smashed? I didn't know. Her brains weren't splattered all over the place. Her dark red blood wasn't anywhere to be seen either. A soft but clearly audible moan escaped her lips. So it seems like she is bleeding though on her head. She was alive. She had passed out and wasn't moving at all, but she didn't seem to be injured. The most I could see was a small trickle of blood on her forehead. She had fallen all the way from the top of the roof. But now she was almost unharmed. She was lying on top of the flower bed. Had there been a flower bed there? No. Okay. Back to the evil lair of Nozomi employees.
予定と結果に大きな違いがあったようだが。
我々は進化への第一歩を踏み出したんですよ。
I wonder who this dude is. Is he the person that, like, Sena Aoi was looking for? Maybe? I forgot the name she said. There was an H and a T in it, I think. We took our first step towards the evolution.
三桁もの死人が出るなど、我々は聞いておらんぞ。計画に不備があったのかね。
We know that we was trying to do an experiment, cause an earthquake, 200 people died, but that's progress.
いいえ。お二人にはぜひ人の進化の歴史というものを振り返ってみていただきたいものですね。
進化には多少の犠牲はつきものという点については異論はない。
死人のことなどどうでもいい。
Yeah, Nozomi is a piece of shit.
重要なのは予定と違うということだ。
想定の範囲内ですよ。私の中ではね。
ならばなぜ事前に我々へ連絡せんのだ。情報をコントロールするにはそれなりの下準備が必要なのだぞ。貴様の推挙のために人や金を犠牲にしてきたわけではない。それを忘れるな。
ご安心を。先ほど申しました通り、全ては想定の範囲内。
All within calculations.
いずれ近いうちに選挙での票集めに苦労することも、強引な勧誘活動を告発される恐れもなくなるでしょう。
Ah, so this guy is the politician.
我々が日本を、いや、世界を変える日もじきに。
口を慎め。300人委員会への造反が知れれば、我らが待っている のは破滅だけだ。
It's the Committee of 300. I don't remember what this is, but it was definitely referenced in Steins Gate as like one of those conspiracy things. A mysterious secret organization with only 300 members, set to manipulate the worlds from the shadows. The unseen rulers, royal families, intelligence agencies, banks, and other huge companies, and other secret societies that you often see in conspiracy theories are said to be but servants of the committee. Its influence extends to almost all the world's corporations, police, and scientific organizations. Its existence, however, is nothing more than a rumor. Some say that the ultimate goal of the Committee of 300 is the Human Cultivation Project, the construction of a new world order where the entirety of humanity becomes their cattle. The chosen elite will slaughter all but 1 billion people, and this 1 billion will be kept their slaves. Wow.
君の役目は計画通りにことを進めることであって、それ以上でも以下でもないよ。
調整は我々がやる。
承知しています。
それで第2世代についての報告を聞こうか。
お二人にも満足していただける仕上がりですよ。ノア2はね。
Noah 2. Intriguing. Well, well then. A lot of stuff just happened. I ran at top speed from school to the park. By the time I got there, I was too out of breath to move another inch. My lungs were in desperate need of oxygen. As I gasped for air, I took a quick glance around the park. There was nobody here. The people I was afraid of, Shogun and Yua, were nowhere to be seen. Relieved, I decided to catch my breath. It was almost evening. The sky was slowly shifting from blue to the color of twilight. Yeah, blue. Blue, not red. The park was as calm and quiet as ever, as if all this craziness at school had never even happened. In the end, Ayase's jump was treated as an attempted suicide. She was carried off in an ambulance. I had no way of knowing what happened to her after that. Afterwards, I'd given up on trying to find Rimi and ran all the way here instead. I couldn't get what I'd just seen out of my head. When Ayase had jumped, when Ayase had fallen, I was sure she was dead. But she survived. I didn't know how, but she survived. She was breathing, and she hadn't looked injured at all. A fall from that height should have killed anyone, but she had miraculously survived. Because she had fallen right on top of a soft flower bed. But that was impossible. Physically impossible. There had been no flower bed there. Right until the moment she hit the ground, it had been an asphalt parking lot. A bunch of the teachers' cars had been parked there. So, where had that flower bed come from? Did I do that? I remember having a delusion that she might survive if there was a flower bed below. But that didn't mean... Could a delusion that only lasted an instant like that really become reality? Maybe I did have some sort of special power. Maybe I'd already seen something similar happen when Ayase split into two people before. Could I even do something as incredible as making a flower bed appear out of nowhere? Even without a D-sword? And that flower bed was still there after she had fallen too. When the teachers had run over to her, they left footprints in the dirt. The flowers, I think they were the same flowers as the one in the courtyard, had snapped from at the stems when the EMTs had walked over them. It was probably still there too. My delusions had become reality, and stayed that way. It hadn't disappeared like the other Ayase. And what was more, everyone had accepted it as natural. No one had wondered why there was a flower bed there. Had I done that?
Oi.
Oh, Senaue. I always say her full name for some reason. I heard a sharp voice calling out from behind me. I turned around just in time to see a hand reach out and grab me by the collar. Before I even had the time to resist, I was slammed hard into a piece of playground equipment. I hit my back hard and moaned in pain. Hello. How are you doing? Don't kill me. It was Senna who had attacked me out of nowhere. She was yanking my collar hard too. I couldn't breathe. I tried flailing my arms around, but she didn't let go at all. There was an intense light in her eyes that might have been murderous. I shivered, shaking my head frantically, thinking that she was going to kill me.
とぼけるな。
Senna's hot breath tickled my cheek. Her face was so close, I worried that she might bite me. Why was this woman so violent and scary? Save me. Somebody save me.
お前は天聖信仰会と関係があるのか？
The Cosmic Church of Divine Light? A fictional cult founded in 1930. It claims to have around 5 million followers, but the actual number is believed to be closer to 2 million. The cult is known for its particularly aggressive, borderline criminal proselytizing. Don't know the word. Its second-generation leader, Yodai Kuramochi, is a man of incredible charisma, and his followers had absolute trust in him. Ah, it's another cult. Another one. The Cosmic... What?
その力を誰から教わった？
How should I know? Senna's voice sounded tense. I'd never heard her yell like that before. But I didn't know what she meant. All I could do was frantically shake my head.
あんなのありえない。理想度なしでエラーを現実にするなんて。お前はその力のことを誰に教わったんだ？誰からだ？答えろ！
Nobody had taught me anything. But if anyone had, it was you. You showed me the evidence. You... I couldn't breathe. I was going to suffocate. I was passing out. Dying. I couldn't stay awake. Oh, okay. Just before I passed out, Senna let go of me. I collapsed where I stood. I coughed and I tried to force as much air into my lungs as I could. Oh, what the hell was going on? Was Senna my enemy after all? Was she working with Shogun too? If so, I had to get out of here.
本当に天聖信仰会とは関係ないんだな。
What the hell was the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light? I'd never even heard of them. She saw my confusion and looked momentarily annoyed, but finally stopped glaring at me. She sighed.
悪かった。関係ないならいい。
She didn't sound apologetic at all as she turned to leave. It looked like she didn't intend to hurt me after all. If that was the case, then... I worked up my courage and spoke. Oh, yes. Get some answers from her. Please, it would help so much. I thought she'd ignore me, but she stopped and turned back. She was still frowning, but at least it looked like she would listen to me.
力って何なの？
Senna knew something. She asked if I was the one who created that flower bed. Everybody else there ended up thinking that the flower bed had been there from the start, but for some reason, Senna knew differently.
さっきの花壇どうなって？
お前が妄想したんだろ？
My delusion? Yeah, it was, but...
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまり、エラーを現実として認識させる。
でも視界に映すだけじゃそれって幻でしかないよ。
Yeah? If that flower bed was an illusion, Ayase would be dead right now. Ayase had survived because it wasn't an illusion, but a real flower bed.
世界の仕組みは3つの数字で全て説明できる。0と1、そしてマイナス1。
Okay.
ディソードはそのマイナス1を生み出すためのショートカットになる。だがお前はディソードなしでそれをやった。
She was starting to go off the rails again. No, but what Senna was saying wasn't just some girl's crazy ramblings. The VR technology pattern was real, at least. Maybe Senna knew something after all.
いいか。これ以上エラーを作るな。それがお前のためだ。それと他にもエラーを見たら教えろ。
What does that mean? Her words almost sound like a threat, and then she turned away.
目に見えるものだけを信じられることがどんなに幸せか。
Senna whispered that, and then this time, She left the park. That was really weird. Okay, this is a hospital? Is it that same hospital? It looks like it. It's just empty version. There was silence on the floor of AH Tokyo General Hospital where the psychiatric wards were located. The surgery and emergency wards were supposedly dealing with the rash, unexplainable comas that had started to occur after the earthquake. But the psych ward had nothing to do with any of that. If anything, they'd finished up their outpatient exams a little earlier than scheduled. A few days from now, they might even have a flood of people experiencing PTSD from the quake. But for now, for today, at least, there was nothing left for the outpatient staff to do. Oh, Hazuki's here. Shino Hazuki, one of the nurses, had been working here since last night's night shift, and belatedly realized that she'd barely taken a break the whole time. She was hangry too. The ward had lost one of its doctors the other day. He had been murdered horribly in one of the new gen incidents, and his replacement hadn't come in yet, so there weren't enough people. But all that was left for the day were a few minor tasks. She can hand them over to the night staff, and she'd finally be able to go home. She slapped her cheeks with her hands, telling herself that she just had to hang in there a little longer, and began to quickly walk across the lobby. I like Hazuki's design. She's really cute. Suddenly, she felt a gaze from behind, a prickling at the back of her neck. She shivered. Whose eyes are those? She spun around out of sheer reflex, but there was nothing but quiet, empty hallway. Huh? Oh, wait, that's Suwa. Wait, does Suwa think Hazuki is the culprit of the new gen murderers? Hazuki was startled. The voice came from completely the opposite of the direction that she expected. She thought that the lobby was empty, but there was one person left. He called out to her when he'd seen her. I think that was Suwa. Yeah, that was Suwa. It was a man with a handsome, if still young, face. His parlor was healthy, and he certainly didn't look sick.
あなたはちょっと時間もらっていいっすかはあどうもっす
The man gave an embarrassed smile and then suddenly grabbed her by the arm and pulled her from the lobby towards the stairs. The man, Mamoru Suwa, took out a small black book from his pocket and showed it to her. He flipped it open and showed her his police ID. He stopped next to the stairs and looked around carefully to make sure nobody was nearby.
それで、お話って。
So he was onto something. He said he found something about the new gen killer. And he has an idea of who it is, even though it's a hypothesis still. She still had work to do and was feeling a little uneasy. Suwa seemed to realize this, so without wasting any more time, he took out a photo from his pocket and showed it to her.
この少年に見覚えないっすか
Oh no, he's just gonna ask about Takumi. It was a photo of a listless looking Takumi Nishijo. Because of the nature of her work, Hazuki prided herself on being good with faces, and she nodded without even really thinking about whether or not it was okay to answer or not. Yeah, that's technically giving away personal information, although this is... He did present a police badge, so I wonder if... I think it might be illegal, I'm not sure.
西条拓実間違いないっすか
ええでも
Her hesitation was natural. Giving anyone, even the police, information about a patient was strictly against the rule. Okay, never mind. But of course, Suwa had known that when he talked to her. His casual attitude suddenly vanished, and a serious look appeared on his face. He dropped his voice as he spoke.
頼みがあるんすけど西条拓実のカルテこっそり見せてもらえないっすか
そんなの無理です。
I was like, he's like, I'm gonna ask you a favor. Can you do crime for me?
とある事件に関わる重要なことなんすよ
Wait, that would be the key to cracking the case? So that means he still thinks it's Takumi. Okay. Hatsuki wasn't sure what to do. She turned to leave, but Suwa got in front of her and blocked her.
困ります。
迷惑はかけないっすだから頼みますよ
Finally, he got on his knees and began to beg.
やめてください。本当に無理なんです。
これ以上犠牲者を出さないためにも
What could she do to make him give up? Hazuki couldn't come up with anything, so she just stood there helplessly. Huh, that was really weird. Yeah, I don't know what to think of that. This might be shorter than usual, but I think I'm going to end it here for today. A lot of stuff happened. We finally got Takumi to unleash his power, but even before that, like literally 5 minutes into this episode, freaking ended the chapter with, you know, the earthquake and the sky turning white. Holy crap, what just happened? It happened all so quickly. But yeah, we're gonna continue with this next time and find out the secret behind Takumi's delusion and why he's able to do that without a D-sword. That's honestly getting a lot more interesting. The fact that, like, honestly, the supernatural mystery aspects of this visual novel are actually pretty interesting. Don't really care much for Takumi still. Some of the characters are kind of interesting as well. I really like Bon. I think Rimi is kind of like, I like her, but she's also really suspicious. I don't really know whether or not to trust her, but like some of the characters are kind of interesting. I really like Senaoi. Oh man. But yeah, we'll find out what happens next time. And until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!